going on? We saw the Big Ten, the rule change where you had to submit an injury report within 2 hours of kickoff. I'm wondering just first, general overall thoughts on that, but also if that impacts anything you guys do routine wise pregame.
Yeah, no, obviously the new thing, obviously with gambling and all these other things. I think the Big Ten looked at this, and I happen to be part of a committee of 4 coaches that kind of they ran through the process of what they thought. We've I think adopted similar to the NFL policy. I didn't understand it other than to kind of take pressure off of kids from people trying to gather information, I would imagine, but it's a policy that we have to do. We'll comply and comply in a way that is the way they want us to use it. And I really don't have an opinion on it, to be honest with you, Taylor.
Does it change anything you do, pregame?
No, not at all. We typically have a meeting on Saturday. I know which players, our trainer sits in and we know which players will be available. I tell our coaches kind of how I want to see our players play, especially the younger guys mostly, or guys that we're trying to develop. And no, it has no effect on anything we do.
We'll go to Brandon.
Hey, Coach. Just
What's up, Brandon? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good.
Thanks. So just kind of curious, is there anything you're focusing on, maybe reiterating over the next couple of days before the season starts, something specific maybe that you noticed over the practices in the summer and the spring, and then specifically over the last week or so?
Not really. I mean, we do our messaging. I think you guys got it and hear kind of what it is. I'll say this because I hate the way sometimes it's reported when it comes out that I declared that we're going to compete for the Big Ten championship. I said we're ready to compete for Big Ten championships is the exact quote. And so for me, that means we've got to create the habits and behaviors that allow you to do that. And so to me, that's the messaging, is that if you want to compete for Big Ten championships, good teams don't beat themselves. They have standards in which they practice and play that don't change. And if the standards match, if the actions match the standards, usually you'll put yourself in the best position at the end of the year to be where you want to be. And so to me, that's what we've talked about.
We'll go to Ahmed.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you.
Ahmed, what's up, man?
What's going on? Wanted to ask you because I know like Bo Braid and Jashon, both those guys they talked about just kind of balancing between having to maybe familiarize themselves with University of West Florida and then balance themselves prepping against Towson, seeing the personnel. Obviously two days left before kickoff, but how would you kind of assess maybe the team starting to kind of pick up the Towson prep?
You said how did we pick up Towson prep, or
how would you kind of assess like just how I guess like the prep overall is kind of going?
Yeah, we've had a pretty good week. I think defensively, the consistency through Tuesday, Wednesday, which are our big work days. Not that Thursday isn't, but Thursday is a little bit more dress rehearsal, clean up game plan stuff, correct any mistakes from the Tuesday, Wednesday's practices. And our defense has put together two really good ones. And I thought offensively, Tuesday's practice probably wasn't to our standard. But then yesterday they bounced right back, and it's like, whoa. And as I questioned them at the end of practice, I said, look, we can't be a team that's kind of up and down. We've got to show the consistency. And that's when I talk about doing the work that's necessary to compete for Big Ten championships. That's part of it, the consistency of meeting the standard of how we got to prepare to have success on Saturday. And so I was glad to see the offense kind of bounce back after a not so good Tuesday. And as I told them, we can't be a team that gets externally motivated, meaning the only time we react or respond is when a coach or the media or fans are getting on your butt about stuff. You got to be a self-motivated guy that says, this is the standard and this is how I got to operate. And so I feel like we've had 2 good days for the most part. Today's going to be really important. the emphasis for us is it's going to be what we do and our execution. And if the challenge for us as coaches is you've got all of your offense, defense, and special teams available to you because we're coming out of training camp. So then the sweet spot for us is figuring out what did we do well and make sure we call it to be able to execute the stuff that we need to get executed.
We'll go back to Taylor.
Yeah, Coach, in regards to the offensive line, not asking you to name starters for Saturday, but how much of the starters we do see Saturday, how much of that is kind of locked in place for the foreseeable future in the following few weeks, or are you going to use Saturday as more of a tryout of sorts to see if what you saw in camp can be kind of backed up in a live game?
Yeah, you're a fast learner, Taylor, because I'm definitely not going to tell you who my starters are on the O-line. So that's good there. As far as who we run out there day one, does that mean that that's our locked in starters? No, I mean, like I said, we've got probably, in my opinion, 9 guys that can play winning Big Ten type football. And we're developing the other guys that are younger players to try to grow them as fast as we can. And so, the challenge for us is just to continue to put the best 5 in the best positions. And because our O-line, the way we recruit offensive linemen, the position flexibility is huge for us because we've got guys that can play both sides, tackle, both guard positions, guys that can play guard and center. And so, we're going into this game with a pretty good idea of how we want to play our players. But how they execute and how they play is going to be important in terms of whether or not they're consistently the guy that runs out there first, the starters, or how much they play. So, no, it's still going to be we're still trying to figure out once games start, what guys are performing at the standard or level that we need them to play at for us to be successful.
We'll go to Emmett.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Emmett, what's up?
Doing well. You've managed throughout your time really to avoid any major injuries, it seems, during fall camp. How would you rate your team's health, going into the first week of the season? Do you feel like you got through fall camp, health-wise the way you wanted?
I guess you got to wait till 2 hours before the game there, Emmett. You'll have a really good idea. No, in all honesty, I mean, for the most part, we've gotten through it. We've had some injuries, not too terrible. I feel confident we'll be able to put guys out, but no, we just like anybody else, man. Training camp football is a physical sport. You'll have the injuries. As anybody that's covered us since I've been back, no, I'm not big on talking about the injuries, and it's next man up. And so we have had a couple guys go down maybe that we would have loved to have available for this game, and hopefully we'll be able to get them back for the next one. But for the most part, we did have a pretty good camp where there weren't a ton of those end of season ending type injuries. But like everybody else, we do have some nicks, bumps, and bruises.
Go back to Taylor for another one.
Talia told us on Tuesday that you guys are working some with lining up Roman Hemby out wide and in the slot a little bit. Is that something we could expect to see, in game Saturday? And what are some other ways you may be looking to get the running backs more involved in the passing game?
You fell for the trick, man. I told Leah to drop that out there that we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with lining Roman up all over the place. So our running backs, when we recruit, if you look at the way our offense has run, running backs, tight ends catch a lot of balls for us. So we try to recruit the skill set that allows our backs to create advantages. And so if lining them up wide gives us an advantage as a receiver, we'll do it. If it doesn't, we won't. If you watched us over the years, it won't be the first time we've lined a running back up out wide, and empty. Just to give you an idea, sometimes we do that just to see who lines up over them. I'll give you a little football 101. So when y'all watching from the press box, if we do line Roman up outside and they put a linebacker on him, guess what coverage it probably is? Probably man coverage. If they put a corner on them, it's probably not man coverage. So when we line guys up wide, sometimes we do it to try to get some information from it. So I wouldn't read too much into it, but we do try to recruit running backs that can catch, run routes, have versatile skill sets because they create advantages for you.
We'll go back to Emmett.
You briefly mentioned the tight end position behind Corey because we kind of, he's kind of a known commodity. How have you seen that position group develop? And is there anyone, maybe that stood out at that position for you?
Yeah, I'll give you guys a little nugget that last year I said I thought our running back room would be okay and that we've got some good players there that were kind of unknown. I would say the tight end room is very similar to what that was a year ago because I've been really pleased with the room. We're really young, but guys like Rico Walker and Dylan Wade and Preston Howard, who didn't play a lot for us a year ago. All those guys are tall, athletic, big, strong-bodied guys that can block the C area, run routes vertically, get open, create advantages. And I've been really happy even with, AJ Szymanski is a guy that also, as a young player, because of his size, he's a guy that I expect to be able to create a role for himself. So I'm really pleased with the tight end room. We're just young, and I've got to, as I like to say, grow them fast, as fast as I possibly can, and get them game experience that'll benefit them in the long run and benefit us.
We'll take one more from Taylor.
Yeah, coach, with the with the new coach at Towson, is that maybe a non-conference opponent you're going to look to schedule more moving forward? Obviously, with your connections at the school and then being them being a local team.
Part of my scheduling philosophy, and I work really closely with our Colleen Sorum, our deputy AD, who is oversees football along with Damon Evans. And so I'm big on, if we're going to play out of conference game, I like to play local teams. We played Howard, we played Towson. I talked to them about possibly playing Morgan State. I do think it's good for the DMV area. It's good for those teams to have opportunities to play. And so from a scheduling standpoint, if we are going to play a lower level, lower division team, I'd like it to be a local team because they bring fans, they bring people to the shell, and it's good for this area. So definitely something not just necessarily Towson, but any of the local schools that play FCS or Group of 5 ball that are within a throw here. If you look at, we played the West Virginias, we play Virginia. I've tried to get back into some of the natural rivalries that we've had over the years from the time of being in the ACC. Those are the type of games that, from a philosophy wise, I like to play because I think it helps our program.